Welcome. Today we are going to be looking at the Republican Party's biggest decision yet. They could win all if they make the right one, and they could lose all if they make the wrong one. We are going to be talking about if the Republicans run another Trump-like candidate. They're called Trumpian populists. A Trumpian populist, if they run another Trumpian populist, how would the election play out? But what if they nominate a traditional Republican? Here, the Republican Party intersects. They have two different roads they could take. The traditional Republican path or the Trumpian populist path. And the benefits of the Trumpian populist path are, delegates, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the 2nd District of Maine. The benefits of the traditional Republican are Texas, Arizona, and Georgia. Definitely more here. But remember at the same time, I forgot Iowa and Ohio. They are not swing states anymore if you put Trump in the battle. So right now it seems pretty obvious. This area has more electorals, so why not nominate a traditional Republican? That has its backsides as well. Let's see. We're gonna just assume Mitt Romney, because to me, he sounds like the most traditional Republican against a traditional Democrat. And for this sake, I will call Joe Biden. South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee. But you have to remember, Ohio and Iowa are swing states again if this happens. It will no longer go to the GOP in a margin. These states will be close. They will. But they won't go to the GOP. But this also puts New Hampshire as a toss-up. Some states will definitely be close, but they will still probably not vote for the GOP anymore. Just like Virginia. They are still close. They do not vote for the GOP anymore. This puts the Democrats at 263. The 2nd District would probably only go to Trump. New Hampshire is a toss-up. Ohio, Iowa, Florida. Now here is where it gets difficult. These states will be leans. These states will be likelies. These states, but they will, even though they're close, they will not vote red. Mitt Romney can win Nevada. He can win New Hampshire. He can win Ohio. He can win Iowa. He can win Florida, and that's the only possible way to win here now. So now if the Democrats just take New Hampshire, if they just win Nevada, they win the election. That's it for the Republicans. That's it. New Hampshire. They could take New Hampshire. They have a chance at Ohio. They have a chance in Nebraska's 2nd District. They'd have huge, insane amount of scenarios. So this is very good for the Democrats. Why not? And maybe we're not even considering the second factor. What if Donald Trump launches a third-party campaign because he is not happy that the Republicans nominated a traditional Republican? So we see a Trump ticket coming up, and Trump would most likely win the 2nd District, and that's most likely all he'll do. But he could seriously influence the election. These states would vote in margins they have never voted before. The end result would be like this. They'd win North Carolina, they'd win South Carolina, they'd win Georgia, Florida, still losing Alabama. This is how it would play out. if Trump is not satisfied, the GOP is doomed. He still has a huge amount of grip of power over the GOP, over the Republican Party. He still has a huge amount of power in that party. Even though he is no longer elected, majority of Republicans support him. So if he launches a third-party campaign, he will most likely make the Republicans lose. At the same time, though, he won't win. No third party has ever won the presidency, unless you consider George Washington a third party, but at that time it was not considered a third party, so no, that does not count. That would be a Democratic landslide. Let's just say, so in both cases, Democrats win. Let's just say they nominate another Trumpian populist candidate. Most likely, they'd win the 2nd district. They'd lose New Hampshire, though. That's one loss there. New York, they'd win West Virginia, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi. And then these states would be shifted to the far right. New Hampshire would go by a likely margin. New Jersey, likely. North Carolina would most likely go to them. Georgia. Now, Georgia. Here's the thing about Georgia. Maybe they just don't like Trump, but they like Trumpian populism because they voted for him in 2016. But we can't tell that. So far, if they nominate, Georgia's probably going to tilt blue again. Florida is probably going to move or stay red. Ohio would go to them in a likely margin. So would Iowa. Illinois, Minnesota, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri. So basically, you see what I'm doing here. We can obviously now see that the Republicans are going to have to make a huge choice that will divide their party either way. And they're going to need to figure out how to find the right balance. If there is a right balance, there's a possibility there isn't, and the GOP will most likely would lose 2024. They'd lose until their party base evolves. Now, if this happens here, Arizona's probably not going to go red if they nominate another Republican. I can tell you that. Democrats will win Georgia. They'll win Nevada. I don't think Texas is going to flip in 2024. Maybe 2028, but not 2024. Not 100% sure, though. And then the election depends on these states. If they were safe blue states, the GOP would be doomed. So right now, the best way for victory for a Republican candidate is to nominate a Trumpian populist who is not Donald Trump himself. Somebody who could really help out, like Nikki Haley. She's a Southern girl. She'd be able to win Georgia. She's actually very famous in the South. She'd be able to win Georgia. She'd be able to keep Texas. She'd be able to win North Carolina, Florida, South Carolina, all these big states. Nikki Haley would also appeal well in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. But then again, we have to remember, what if Dan Crenshaw or Ted Cruz, another person like that? And it's most likely they're not going to win. And they're probably going to lose the 2nd district. Because as we have seen, the 2nd district prefers traditional Republicans. And that is it. Thank you for watching this video. And make sure to check out the electoral advantage video, because that kind of connects to this. I talked a little bit about it in that video. So thank you for watching this, and subscribe.